If I could have your attention here in the Media Center, we'll continue on with today's Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series media availabilities. And we will have now the driver of the number 20 DeWalt Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. That is Erik Jones. Erik, you must have had this track circled on your calendar for quite some time. How excited are you to be here at Bristol for this weekend?
Well, I'm always excited to come to Bristol in anything, really. And, you know, last year was a place I was excited to get to, and, you know, had a good run here in the spring. We didn't finish where we wanted, but then in the fall had a really fast car that had a good shot to win. So, you know, coming back, I knew that we had a good baseline to lean back on, and they hadn't really changed anything here. So, you know, obviously gets you excited to come back, and just a track that's fun. I was telling Chris when we came here to test for a tire test that I felt like I could make laps around here all day. It's just a lot of fun to drive, and always excited to come back. So, you know, pretty pumped up for the weekend.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Steve, and then we'll go to Jacob.
Erik, Kyle was just in here, and he said the track didn't feel, I'm sorry, Steve Schweitzer, the Lasco Press. Kyle was just in here, and he said the track didn't feel the same here in the spring as it did in the fall with the compound, the traction compound that they put down. How did it feel to you?
You know, it does feel a little different, I guess, but I think it'll change as the day goes. 2 more Xfinity practices here, so it's probably going to gain a little bit more grip. But it does feel like it's got a little bit less grip than it had here in the fall last year. But we did change tires. It's a different construction on the tire that we came and tested, and I thought it was a little bit different overall. So I was expecting it to be a little different. So yeah, it's not exactly as it was.
Jacob.
Jacob Seelman, Speed Sport. Erik, to have run as well as you ran last fall here and to come close but not quite get there, how motivating is that coming back here with JGR, knowing you've got cars capable of winning the race?
Well, you know, you're always motivated when you come to a track to win, but especially when you come back to somewhere you feel like that you had a car that could do it and just didn't close out the deal. You know, winning my first Cup race is something that I really want to get done, and you know, feel like if we can get one knocked out of the way, that more is going to kind of come with that. So, you know, we're going to continue to push this weekend. We had a good first practice, but there's still a long ways to go yet to get where we want to be and get you know, get to the race and feel like we're in it with a shot. So, but very motivated. I mean, it's good to come back to a place. You know, where your team's fast, where you're comfortable, and the car's, you know, the car unloads good. So we've had a good weekend so far. We just need to keep it heading that way.
We'll go to Kenny, Mike, Jessica, then Lee.
Kenny Bruce with KennyBruce.net. Erik, I know you obviously had a good run here last fall, but Kenseth had 2 top 5s with sort of that team, I guess. I know you got the crew chief change and difference like that. How much of what they were able to do last year as a team has benefited you this year, or is it just totally different?
Well, you know, it's pretty different. There are some things, though, that we could carry over. But for the most part, we've been going a lot of off the setups we were racing last year over at Furniture Row. We share that information, and, you know, we were able to lean back on a lot of that stuff and build off similar setups from that, and we've done the same thing here this weekend. We started with a very similar setup to what we raced here in the fall last year. And when you come to tracks like Bristol, honestly, setups are all pretty close. You know, if you look at the 4 cars at JGR this weekend, our stuff's, it's pretty much laying on top of each other for setup-wise. It's just the way it is here for some reason. So there was some stuff we could lean back on and learn from, and just different processes that you know, the engineers use that they used with Matt, and some things they did last year different than what we did. So it is a new process in some ways of what we're using to get these setups and get them where we want to. So there was some stuff we could learn.
Go Mike, Jessica, Lee, then Dustin.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. What's behind your college tour? Are you going to take some English Lit classes? Are you checking out the labs? What's going on there, and do you have anything else set up?
Well, I'm not going to be taking any classes, but, you know, I think for me it's just fun to kind of go around and see different campuses and schools. And I was always a big college football fan, and college sports in general, basketball, football, even I watched Michigan hockey when I was growing up. So, you know, I think for me it's a way to kind of go and meet students at the school that maybe don't know about NASCAR and get people to come out to the racetrack. So, that's obviously my goal, is to get people interested in NASCAR and wanting to come to these races and be fans and hang out and check it out. But for me, for my side, it's fun for me to just go around and see all the schools. They're always so impressive to see the campuses and meet, some of these people that I've watched and looked up to for a long time in the sports programs over there. So it's been fun. I've enjoyed it a lot, and just excited to see kind of where else we get to go this year and some of the other campuses. Not right now. I'm trying to do hopefully around 7 to 10. So we'll hopefully get our next one knocked out soon.
Jessica?
Jessica Ruffin with NASCAR.com. I asked Kyle when he was in here earlier if there was still some sort of like mentor-student relationship between the two of you, and he kind of joked that, well, he doesn't call me anymore, and he actually said he's asked you for advice. How has that relationship with him evolved as you've grown in the Cup Series?
I guess it changed every year. It has changed every year, in trucks. I was calling him every weekend and asking for advice and trying to figure out some of the tracks. And even in Xfinity for pretty much my whole time there, I was still asking him for a lot of help everywhere we went. And in the Cup Series, I have asked him for help. I still give him a call every once in a while. But, I think the information is more shared now, I guess. I guess there's times where I can give things back, which is nice for me. I mean, it's very rewarding, and it's really a big compliment from Kyle if he ever comes and asks me questions about certain things that are going on at tracks and kind of what I was doing here or there. But I still do ask him for help a lot. Martinsville, I was asking him questions for quite a while, and there's a few other places where I still ask for a lot of help. So I guess he's not a full-on, mentor like he used to be when we were in trucks and Xfinity, but I still do ask him for a lot of help. Yep.
Go to Lee, then to Dustin.
Can you look back at when you made your first start here in a Cup car and just what you were feeling, what that pressure was like? Because it's not every day you get that phone call and then have like zero time to get here, get strapped in, and, if you could say somebody was thrown in the deep end in their first Cup start, it was you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I got to the track this morning. For some reason, it kind of popped in my head that day, and that was a weird day. My parents were in town. They had actually just left to go to the airport, and I was laying on the couch, and I think I just woke up from a nap after the rain delay had begun, and they were asking me that. It's good. How's practice? But I don't know why he's got to be like that, He's coming here. Yeah, he's bored. It was nice. But anyways, looking back on that day, it was wild. I mean, Bristol was honestly at that time I didn't have a lot of experience at Bristol and really didn't. I wasn't that comfortable here. And we just ran okay. We'd never ran well here. And, showing up and hopping in, I remember sitting in the hauler and asking, Denny had walked in, and he apologized actually to me. He's like, I know this isn't the way you probably want to make your first start. And I kind of laughed. And he gave me kind of a quick once-over of the car. And Dave Rogers at the time, the crew chief, gave me a quick plan on what the day was going to go like. And we went for it. So it was quite a day, but it was a good experience looking back on it.
We'll go to Dustin, then to Reed.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Since you raced in the Xfinity race at Indianapolis with a package similar to what they're going to use for the All-Star race, how did that work? How might it work at a place like Charlotte, because that's a different size, different dimension track than Indianapolis?
So the Xfinity package, I guess, was pretty interesting at Indy. We were by yourself. You were wide open. I mean, it was easy, wide open. But in the pack, in traffic, you would have to lift a little bit. It was interesting to try to get runs and set yourself up to make moves at Indy. I thought, though, it did make for more passing. Really, honestly, if you look back at the race, it was probably a better race than what had been there in years past in the Xfinity Series. You know, at Charlotte, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. You know, I think the intention is for us to be wide open and be similar to restrictor plate racing. I don't know if it's going to work out like that, because I do think there's still going to be some handling aspects, and I think you're probably not going to be able to be wide open in traffic when you're behind other cars. So I don't know. It's really hard to say how it's going to work out. I honestly don't have a good feel for it, of what it's going to be like on a 1.5 mile like Charlotte, but it is going to be way different. It's not going to be anything like what you've seen at Charlotte in the past, for sure.
Go next to Reed.
Reed Spencer, NASCAR Wire Service. When you tested here in September with Goodyear, did they have the VFT down?
Yeah, they did apply it, I think, the day before, so it was pretty accurate.
And how valuable a learning experience is that for you as a driver? I mean, I know you're there to test tires, and you're not sure what they're going to settle on, but how valuable is that just to get laps at the track?
Well, it's still valuable. I mean, anytime you can get more laps on a track and get more experience at a place is really important. And especially for me, I've, you know, this is only, other than the other impromptu start I made here, this is only my 3rd time here. So, you know, I don't have a ton of laps here in a Cup car yet. And anytime you get there, I mean, you do still get to make small adjustments on your car. So you're still learning stuff and kind of figuring out how the track is changing with the rubber being laid down on it from cars making laps, and it is valuable. I mean, you know, I was able to kind of look back, and fortunately they picked one of the tires we tested, so I was able to kind of get a leg up on some of the other guys here, and you know what that tire was going to feel like, and have a pretty good idea of what it's going to do in the long run. You know, I think we made a 50 or 60 lap run on it, so I have a pretty good idea of it.
That was on the new right side.
Yep, that they're running this weekend.
Erik, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.